Imagine for a moment, you are a simple clerk sitting in a tiny, humble shop right across from the Palace of Power. You write letters and contracts for the common folk in exchange for a few miserable coins. And suddenly, with absolute conviction, you decide that you will not die until you become the sole ruler of this entire great empire. Some will call you crazy, others will laugh mockingly at your delusions. Yet, this is exactly what an ambitious young Arab thought in Cordoba, in the year 355 of the Hijra. A young man who didn't just dream. He tamed the Umayyad Caliphate, led 57 terrifying battles against the Christian kingdoms of the north, and was never defeated in a single one. Today, we will tell you the story of the terrifying and miraculous rise of Al-Mansour ibn Abi Amir, the man who made Europe tremble at the mere mention of his name. In the beginning, Muhammad ibn Abi Amir was a brilliant young man of Yemeni Khatani origins, working as a public scribe outside the palace of Caliph Al-Mustansir Billah in Cordoba. One night, as he sat chatting with three of his friends in his small shop, he suddenly looked at them, his eyes gleaming with an eerie confidence, and said, "Make your wishes upon me, for I shall soon rule Al-Andalus, and I will grant each and every one of your desires." His friends burst into laughter, dismissing his words as mere late-night delusions and passing banter. One of them mocked him, saying, "If you ever rule Al-Andalus, make me the governor of Toledo." The second said, "Make me the judge of Cordoba." As for the third, fed up with his arrogance, he snapped with angry disdain, "If you rule Al-Andalus, order your men to mount me backwards on a donkey and parade me through the markets of Cordoba while beating me. Remember these wishes well, because the wheel of time turned, and Muhammad ibn Abi Amir was not a man to forget a single word." How did this simple scribe rise to power? The secret lies in cunning, charisma, and a profound understanding of human psychology. Thanks to his exquisite calligraphy and absolute integrity, he was recommended to manage the estates of one of the caliph's young sons. This was his foot in the door of the royal palace. Through his generosity, clever management, and high diplomacy, he won the absolute trust of Sayyida Sub al-Bash Kansiyah, the caliph's powerful wife and mother of the child heir, Hisham. With a meteoric rise, he climbed the ranks, from estate manager to chief judge, then director of the mint and finance, until within a few short years, he became an indispensable pillar of the state. When Al-Mustansir died, he left behind an 11-year-old child, Hisham al-Muayyad Billah. Here, the gates of hell opened in a fierce struggle for power. The Saqali-Ba, the powerful palace eunuch guards, attempted a coup to install the child's uncle and control the state. But Ibn Abi Amir moved with the cunning of serpents and the speed of falcons. He thwarted the coup in a single night and eliminated the Saqali-Ba leaders completely. He then allied with the mighty commander of the Andalusian army, Khalid al-Nasiri, marrying his daughter to secure the military's absolute loyalty. Only one step remained to become the sole ruler, placing the young caliph under house arrest. Al-Mansur built a brand new royal city named Al-Madinah al-Zahira, transferred the state treasures and ministries there, and isolated the young caliph inside his palace in Cordoba. The caliph became nothing more than a name mentioned in Friday prayers, while the actual power, the army, and the money were all in the hands of one man, Al-Mansour ibn Abi Amir. And so, time passed, and Al-Mansour remembered that old night in the shop and his friends of youth. He immediately ordered his three companions to be summoned. They entered to find him sitting upon the great throne of Al-Andalus, an immense majesty filling the room, with soldiers and ministers standing before him in absolute silence. He looked at them and began questioning them one by one. They fell to the ground out of sheer fear and regret. But Al-Mansour smiled, brought the first forward, and said, "I have appointed you governor of Toledo." He brought the second forward and said, "I have made you the judge of Cordoba." Then, with cold assurance, he turned to the third who had mocked him long ago and said, "As for you, by God, had you wished for anything else, I would have granted it. Take him, and do to him exactly what he wished for." And indeed, he was paraded through the markets, sitting backwards on a donkey, fulfilling his historical, sarcastic wish. The message was clear and stern to all. Al-Mansour never breaks a promise, and never forgives an insult. But Al-Mansour was not just a politician of palace intrigues. He was an extraordinary military genius who stunned history. He led Al-Andalus into the golden age of its supreme military might. Did you know that he led 57 major campaigns and battles against the kingdoms of Castile, Leon, Navarre, and Barcelona, and was never defeated in a single battle throughout his entire life? He led Muslim armies to terrifying, remote places in the far north where no one had ever reached before. He even stormed Santiago, the holiest sanctuary of Christian Spain at the time, demolished its fortifications, and forced captive Christian kings and commanders to carry the massive doors of their great cathedral on their shoulders all the way to Córdoba, to turn those doors into a roof and lamps for the great Mosque of Córdoba. There is a famous story that summarizes his justice and prestige. It is said that during one battle, Al-Mansour sat on a hill of dirt eating his food while his army pursued the remnants of the enemy. A Christian woman came to him weeping and said, "Your soldiers took my son, and he is all I have in my shop." Al-Mansour immediately halted the war and the entire advance. He did not move until he ordered her son returned to her, cementing his justice, his humanity, and the awe he commanded over everyone. In the year 392 of the Hijra, while returning from his final campaign in Santiago, Al-Mansour was struck by his terminal illness in the city of Medina Salih. This great man had prepared for himself a special shroud that accompanied him in every campaign and war, woven by his daughters from pure, lawful money inherited from his father. After every battle, he would order his servants to shake the dust from his clothes and meticulously gather it in a glass vial. He left a will that this dust be buried with him in his grave, to stand as his witness before God of his jihad and his protection of the Muslim frontiers. Al-Mansour died and was buried there on the land of battles, and they engraved verses on his grave that bring tears to the eyes and immortalize his memory. His deeds tell you of his story, as if you see him clearly with your own eyes. By God, time will never bring his equal, nor will anyone else protect the frontiers. Thus ends the story of the legendary man who started from absolute zero and forged a glory before which the kings of the entire earth bowed. In dying, Al-Mansour did not just leave behind a powerful and respected state. He left a profound political vacuum that accelerated the end of the Umayyad Caliphate in Al-Andalus and led it into the chaotic era of the Taifa kingdoms. Yet, he left an immortal military legacy and a glorious history that engraved his name in the nation's consciousness as one of the greatest commanders whose armies never knew defeat.